Sometimes there's an event or a life that has an outsized influence on our community. I'm Soledad O'Brien in conversation with Brittany Packnett Cunningham, and we're going to do a deeper dive into what's happening today in America.
In so many ways, I think you have helped set the standard for what it looks like. To be incredibly responsible with your platform. How are you thinking about pushing this particular conversation forward?
So I've always tried to say, how do we look at diversity in America and true diversity? Not just, these are all gonna be Black stories, or these are all gonna be white people's, or these are all gonna be Natives, but like in this mix of people, what does true diversity look like? What are the stories of the people here? And when you start hearing the same story over and over again, at some point you have to say, actually, I think the story is about this lack of access over here. And also, I think as a woman of color who's been in the game a minute, you realize, like,
just a minute.
A minute, yes, that's right, 1 minute. You begin to realize, like, there are different points of view. We chose the people who don't always get a voice. And I think often that's a role for minority journalists.
I think that hopefully is a role for more and more people. I sit in this strange seat of an activist who is intentionally engaged in media because I recognize the culture shifting power of media. Before things happen in courts and on Congress floors, they happen in people's living rooms. And the more we bring people in through media, new media, social media, the easier it will be to create the kind of changes that we see. You are often turning your camera and your mic to somebody else. There are so many times that I'm actually not the voice. So how often can I be using this platform that I've built to actually share the mic? Working with people and hearing from people instead of doing to people. I think if we approach so many things, including how we use our platforms that way, we'll all be better for it.
I don't think you can make tangible change without involving the people who are at the center of the tangible change.
Proximity
is
required.
It sounds so obvious, but people do it all the time. You're like, have you talked to anyone in this community?
And people say, oh, you're right, we haven't.
No, we have not. You're like, well, you might want to talk to them. Yeah. If you had to pick an awkward conversation, let's talk about racism and bias.
Fun.
That's gonna be fun. It's so much easier to say, you know what, listen, I love all God's children and keep it moving. And that doesn't actually bring change.
A thing that having conversations do, that it gives us the opportunity to learn, to listen, to grow, but also to practice. To practice how we are with one another, to practice what we do for one another, to practice how we show up for one another. And there's a weight that we allow complicated things to put on us. And we allow the weight of complication to take away our courage, right? Complicated can't mean cowardly.
I think you're right. It's very easy to say, we believe this platitude, but the next piece of it is, but talk to me about your hiring.
Yeah.
What HBCUs are you recruiting at?
If we can get this right for the most oppressed people, then all of us benefit materially. A freer world for them is a freer world for all of us. So how do we get to that world? We can't get there if we don't talk about it.
We spoke today about the past, but of course with an eye toward the future. So make sure you use all the resources at hand to help our communities heal and thrive. Thank you for watching.
P&G is stepping up to help foster stronger communities. Learn more at pg.com/takeonrace.